Hey, Fit Like YouTube, welcome back to another episode of the Black Pearl. Okay, this episode I've decided I'm going to do a freshwater test run on the tank. Just basically filling the tank up with tap water. A couple of reasons for this. I want to check to make sure that all my plumbing and everything is not leaking. And obviously if there is a problem and I've got to drain the system, well, it's no great loss, you've no wasted anything. It's just tap water. And the other thing is, I want to see if the floor is going to hold. Obviously me adding a much bigger sump has also contributed to the weight greatly. But fingers crossed everything's okay. So that's what I'm planning. I'm just going to see and just check, make sure that there's no any scary noises coming. Other thing is just to see if I can basically kind of fine tune the system and get it running smoothly. And I want to check to see if my water change system's going to work or not. See if there's any problems with that. So that's basically what I'm wanting to do. Do all these things, and it's fine and easy with the fresh water. There's no hassle and no pressures, and I can just take my time, get any niggles sorted out, and if there is a problem, it'll rear its ugly head and we can nip it in the bud. As you can see, we've started filling it up. This is going to take quite a while, but lucky for you guys, I'll speed the whole process up. Finally, the water's starting to go over the overflow. Took flipping ages. Pretty quick for you guys though. Good news is there's no funny noises or nothing coming through the floor yet, so that's good. And that's it, just hitting the overflows now. It's rising up the weir and it's about to go down the pipes. That's it now. So far so good. There's no leaks in the pipework for the overflows anyway. A bit of noise but when I get the return pump working and I'll be able to get all that adjusted and get it totally silent. But just checking for leaks and nothing. It's working fine. The first section's starting to fill up now. And it's getting ready to overflow into the filter socks. Okay, so here's under the tank. First section's filled up nicely. It's going through the filter socks now. And starting to fill up the skimmer section. Okay, so that's that section. We're now hitting the refugium. This has made me realise how long it's going to take to fill this tank up with Aaaarrrrr water. It's going to take a good couple of days at least, I think. Okay, so the first problem that we've encountered is the check valve. It's making an absolute bloody rocket, and there's no way I'm going to be running this tank with this noise. It's just ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it, and I'm just not going to bother using a check valve. Don't get power outages here anyway, so it's no big deal. And I'll just make sure that the return valves that are shooting the water back into the aquarium are surface skimming, so if there is, it's going to be very little water that's going to come back down to the sump anyway. Plus, for me upgrading the sump to a much bigger unit, it's not going to be a problem holding that extra water anyway. Right, so I've started draining the system. Got a pump pumping the water from the display tank down the return section here, and this is going to then pump the water out down my wee drain that I've got. So I've opened the valve, and I'm pleased to say it is absolutely working brilliantly. Water is just flowing down there, no problem. There's no leaks, nothing. Really chuffed with that. This is going to definitely make water changes a lot easier. Got that bit of polystyrene because there is a fair bit of flow that's shooting down there like that. No problems, nothing to worry about, so that's fine. Okay, problem number 2. When I did my test run, which is quite handy for doing this whole thing anyway, is to show all these little niggles. But problem 2 is this return section. When I open up the valve to empty the water, so like when I'm doing a water change, the water does flow down the drain perfectly fine, but what happens is once that section is taking the sump level down to that baffle and then it's emptied its first section, that's it. It's not going to pump any more water out of the system. So I'm going to have to measure how much water that actually takes out. So whenever the system's switched off and it pumps the water out of the sump and then it empties its first section, measure that water, see how much I've got to see if that's going to be roughly my 10% that I'm needing. If not, what I'll do is I'll just add another pump into like one of the other sections of the sump or whatever, and I'll just drain the water into that section. Or if I'm actually doing any maintenance in the display tank, I'll have a hose and I'll be siphoning out any water out of the display tank, any crap, and I will just put it into that section there, which will then pump it down the drain. Okay, so problem 3, I've noticed a couple of leaks. It's just a couple of unions I think need tightened, so I'll get onto that. Luckily enough, it's the 2 unions that's actually beside the check valve, so I'll be taking that section out to work on anyway, so I'll double check and make sure that's fine. And the other problem is the return into the tank. I hadn't blooming glued one on, I hadn't even put any on, so just as well I've noticed that just now. So I'm just going to go and get something to put on as my return there and get that glued into place, because when I first switched the system on, bloody water shot up in the air. What a bloody mess, but never mind. Well, that's it for now. Till next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.